something in the corner of your eye, or creaking in your house, or voices through a wall. We're in the middle of the most powerful city in the most powerful country on earth. Mr. President? Whatever happens, however hard, however far, we will find you. Whatever happens, however hard, however far, we will find you. Hello.
I'm Haley.
I'm John.
And I'm Will.
And we're from Crimson Comet, a podcast member of the Geek Network.
Just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness begins in
3,
2,
1.
Hi, we're PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. In the growing movement of comic-themed media, like video games, movies, television shows, one thing is for certain, comic books are here to stay. And so are we. We are excited about geeky things. Just look around. We've come to one conclusion, that even though our broadcasts are fun, engaging, informative, they solely can't be funded on advertising alone. That's where you come in. So PopX needs support, and you are that support. At least we hope so. To date, about 60% of our budget has came from generous donations and out-of-pocket expenses, just to keep our production on the level that it needs to be. Without crowdfunding and assistance from you guys, PopX would totally be doomed and pretty much circling into a viral vortex of circular doom and catastrophe as we know it. Not cool. We want to keep our content free and flowing for the whole world to enjoy. In order to keep these dreams alive, ultimately someone has to pay. Not everyone, but hopefully a select few. For details on how to get started, please check out our list of campaigns and rewards over on the left-hand side. And in the words of Mr. Stan Lee, Excelsior!
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
By the power of Grayskull, Autobots, transform. Excelsior!
And we are live. This is episode 22 coming to you right now live. And we want to say hello to all of our YouTube live listeners. And guess what, Mike? We are part of a network now, the Geek Network. Is that not like the most exciting thing that you've ever heard in your entire life?
That's amazing. That's a great network to be part of.
I know, and those guys are just so awesome. They pretty much welcomed us this past week with open arms. And for SP, Chris Farrell. Chris is hanging out with us over in the PopX chat room. If you're tuning in live, it's popx.live. Be sure to check us out. We do have a chat room, and we're logged in, and we're checking it right now as we speak. So if you're on our YouTube live channel, come on over to popx.live and hang out with us and ask some questions. We got a really cool interview, and you're going to love it tonight. All things nerdy and crazy and fun and Doctor Who, and it's going to be right up your alley. And I know, Mike, you're a huge Doctor Who fan, right?
I am. I've been, I follow since the beginning. I started in way back when.
Way back when. And so it was actually your inspiration in following Doctor Who over the past few years. It's got me really, truly inspired to kind of do this week's episode. So for you, hats off, noble sir. I do appreciate that. But we're going to move right on in, and we welcome you, and we want to give a huge shout out to our awesomely amazing network, the Gonna Geek Network. For all things nerdy, head over to GonnaGeek.com, check out those guys, and you know what? You can see PopX right now listed among the many other amazing podcasts at the Gonna Geek Network, okay? But my name is Joe Burke, and welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. And I am Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast.
And I'm Mike Ippolito, and I'm the behind-the-scenes guy, and I'm filling in for Austin Burke, who couldn't be here this week.
Yes. So this is a trifecta for Austin Burke. We're starting to see a pattern here. I don't know if Austin will ever return to we are starting to question his validity. No, I'm just messing with you, Austin. Hopefully you're safe and everything's okay, and happy 4th of July, first and foremost. Yeah, so that's like a big one. But Mike, so tell us about last week's episode and how people can download that.
Well, if you missed last week's episode, episode 21, we had a conversation with video game maker Homeworld Arts. And be sure to head over to Google Play or iTunes and hit the subscribe button to catch up. And while you're there, please drop us a 5-star review.
Now, I just want to say,
greatly appreciate it.
Mike is like multitasking right now. He is like, not only is he reading a script, but he's running the slide at the same time as well. So he's freaking nailing it this week. So thank you so much, Mike. So usually he's the guy in just the window that you're seeing over here on the right. But now this week he is just like, he's rocking and rolling, as I can say. But this is July the 3rd, and I do want to wish all of our amazing listeners out there a very awesome, happy 4th of July 2016. You got any plans for tomorrow or tonight or anything going on?
Probably just tomorrow to see what's going on in the neighborhood, and I'm sure there's some parks or some areas around here that'll have local fireworks.
Will you be my neighbor?
I can.
Okay. We always need a neighbor. Oh, man. That's funny right there. I don't care who you are. So Netflix has coordinated a deal with Disney to live stream Hold Your Hearts, sit down. This is going to be awesome. You may need a seat for this. Disney will live stream all Disney movies, including Pixar, Disney Studios, and Marvel Entertainment on Netflix. That is like boom sauce for any nerd or any Pixar Disney fan ever.
That's definitely a whole lot of movies for you to be able to have on a streaming service.
Right? So like
sure
if you've not caught up on the Marvel movies, you're like, oh my God, this is my chance to watch Iron Man 1 or go back and see Captain America, the First Avenger.
That would be a good time.
It would be a great time. And so I want to say hats off to Netflix for kind of like solidifying that deal, which is that right there wins the Boom Sauce Award this week. I have to say that one's a pretty good one. So also we have a little bit of a rumor mill. Mike, can you drop the rumor mill for us this week? Now this one's coming out of Left Wing, but we just want to let you guys know this is going to be a huge nerd nugget.
Well, it's a rumor that Marvel and 20th Century Fox are in talks of a possible studio collaboration, much like Sony and Marvel had with the Spider-Man rights. Could we finally see the Fantastic Four make their way to the MCU?
What?
The cinematic universe.
What? Could we see the prodigal family come home to Marvel?
That'd be insane.
Oh my gosh!
Get everybody back together where they belong.
That would be insane, dude. So we had a little interesting thing there with Marvel. I think it's cool though if Marvel can solidify the deal with 20th Century Fox. You can't hear me, Mike? Is he having technical difficulty? Mike is having technical difficulty. He will be right back. Yes, he's pointing at the ear. I cannot hear you. Okay. All right. There you go. But I think it's going to be really awesome that if Fox can solidify the deal with Marvel Comics Studios, that I think it's going to be really awesome. And even more epic is that if they do it with X-Men and they get basically the X-Men franchise, could you imagine the Avengers and X-Men going up head-to-head at the same time? That would be pretty awesome to have them on the same screen at the same time doing the same thing. So I'm done. That would be like the nerds' paradise.
That'd be definitely epic.
That would be crazy epic. So what do we got going on here? Something's going on with our slideshow window there, Mike. What do you got going on there? Little hiccup
technical
there.
issue.
That's all good. But I want to move on here. We got a legendary band. Now, this one came out of the woodworks this week. It was announced by the band Aerosmith. Now, I know this is PopX, and we cover a wide variety of all kinds of crazy stuff, including legendary rock bands Aerosmith. Well, Aerosmith is calling it quits for 2017. That's right. Steven Tyler says he's done. And so with that, it raises some questions, especially here in Orlando in the theme park industry. What is going to happen with the rock and roller coaster at Hollywood Studios? What's going to happen with that?
I don't know. If they call it quits, they may consider rebranding it.
I don't know, man. That would be kind of crazy, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. Would it be like Def Leppard rock and roll?
I guess whatever band would step up, take the spot.
My vote would be, definitely not Hanson. Oh God, please, no, not Hanson. Anyway, so what do we have about Tom Hiddleston this week coming out?
Let's see here. Tom Hiddleston is also known as Loki to appear at 2016 Comic-Con for King Skull Island arriving March 10th, 2017.
Oh man, Kong Skull Island is going to be amazing. And we actually, my wife and I has spent the past couple days at Universal Studios here in Orlando. And I'm just going to share some really quick pictures with you right quick. Now, this is a nerd moment. I do apologize, but this is fun. So here I am with Mr. Victor Doom and the Green Goblin himself hanging out, chillaxing. I'm hanging out with bad guys. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do know that Mike was standing to the left of this picture when this picture was taken. Is that right, Mike?
That's right.
You saw me in my element. Was I not getting my nerd on?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Mike. Also, yesterday, I actually got to see a couple other really awesome guys, including Cyclops here. And I've never seen Cyclops at Universal Studios, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's Scott Summers' Cyclops. So I had to get my quick picture with him. And then, of course, Rogue and Storm. So, this is PopX, so we do get our geeky on. So that is some awesome stuff. Now, if you want to see these character meet and greets at Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure here at Universal Orlando, you can do that. And they come out several times a day, and you can actually have your picture taken with them, get their autograph, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's really neat. Now, about Skull Island, my wife and I, we actually rode Skull Island on Friday night. And here's our picture, me and the missus, just chillaxing there in front of the big sign. But it was really awesome. And it's going to be tying in definitely with the brand new movie that's coming out with Tom Hiddleston coming up. And we all know him as Loki, of course. But he is going to be, the ride itself is unlike any other production I've ever seen at Universal Studios. It combines a full 360 cinematic screen universe with a motion simulator safari-style truck that moves, and craziness, and just you don't know where to look, you don't know which way to turn. There's craziness going on all around you. Dinosaurs are like lashing out, so it was crazy. But that was Kong Island, and so I just wanted to share that a little bit. So what else we got here coming up? A little bit of Blade Runner news, I think.
Yes, we have Barkhad Abdi cast in Blade Runner sequel. Fans may know him from Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks. And his famous line, "I'm the captain now."
I am the captain now. I am the captain now.
I can't do that wonderful voice.
I am the captain now. Yeah. That's an interesting, he's an interesting character. And if you've never seen Captain Phillips, highly recommended movie. By the way, one of Tom Hanks' most, I'd say, intense movies that he's made in recent years.
Definitely a great. We actually own the Blu-ray to Captain Phillips. I highly recommend it.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but
You've not seen Captain Phillips?
It's my list of 1,000 movies I need to watch.
Let the catching up begin, my friend. Yes. It's all good. All right. So this is really cool. Lost in Space reboot has been ordered by Netflix. The popular 1960s science fiction show arrives in modern day. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine?
Like they're bringing back all these old shows that, being rebooted.
And they're bringing them new life and everything like that. And I can't wait to see what the robot looks like.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Danger, Will Robinson.
I've seen many of the old episodes, and even
I have too,
the movie I thought was actually pretty good.
Yeah. What was the old scientist's name? The professor or the doctor or whatever? The guy there in the middle next to the robot.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I can't remember.
He was always one of the lead characters on the show. It was always funny. He's always up to no good, getting caught into trouble and mischief, and the poor boy in the robot was always having to bail everybody out.
Yeah.
How can they make a clunk of metal bail everybody out from trouble? I don't know. It's just one of those things. How do they make R2-D2 work? I don't know. But Wreck-It Ralph. What do we have with Wreck-It Ralph this week?
Wreck-It Ralph is set for a sequel that'll be hitting theaters on March 9th, 2018.
Ooh, Wreck-It Ralph Part 2. That's going to be awesome. And we just want to say, too, this is really cool, leading up into our Nerd Nuggets this week. You guys are going to love this. The Doctor Who magazine has reached 500 issues as of July 2016. Oh, my God. That's a Nerd Nugget right there. Can you imagine?
That's a lot of issues.
That's a lot of issues. And joining us right here, right below, is going to be our guest for this week. But before we introduce him, we've got some really cool stuff for you. So let's roll that Nerd Nugget music.
Oh my God, it's a Nerd Nugget.
All right, so the very first episode of Doctor Who had to be delayed for the coverage of, wait for it, the Kennedy assassination. Now, that is really crazy. There's actually a reference to the Kennedy assassination in Episode 1, Season 1 of Doctor Who. Did you know that? A small little blip on the radar. And we have Nerd Nugget number 2. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage one more time.
Oh my God, it's a Nerd Nugget.
Matt Smith describes himself as an innately very clumsy and individual, and has broke so many props that the crew of Doctor Who would literally take bets on how long it would take him to break a new one. So he would break the sonic screwdrivers, he would break the props, he would break everything inside the TARDIS. So he's a Butterfingers, born by nature, I think. That's a Nerd Nugget there for you. And the last Nerd Nugget of the week, before we get into our Doctor Who segment, is...
Oh my God, it's a Nerd Nugget!
The new companion in the upcoming Season 10 is known as Bill, or short for Belinda. Also, it has been rumored that the name Bill was used as a throwback to the first Doctor, William Hartnell, which his friend called him Bill. So, there you go. That is your Nerd Nuggets of the week. Oh man, I just want to, that's some craziness as we wrap up this week's news segment for PopX. Stay tuned. We got some pretty cool nerdiness coming your way. Yeah, buddy. Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com. All right, and we are back here. Roll that beautiful bean footage. We want to welcome KJ, the comics guy. Dude, it's so good to have you on the show. Thank you so much. And you have 2 podcasts, right? You have Legends of the Panel and Warp and My TARDIS.
Yep, exactly. We do, myself and the other gang that I work with, we have 2 podcasts. Warp My TARDIS is our sci-fi show. We actually review sci-fi and fantasy films and television and compare them and contrast them. And then Legends of the Panel is pure comic books. And those are on our own network called Geek Culture Cast.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. Well, I know that you and I have reached out. It's been probably well over a month now. We've had this kind of in the talks.
The back and forth's been, I mean, I think when we first started, it was back in May, and it's now July. So it's been about six or so weeks.
Yes, it's been a while, and I'm so glad that we have the time and that you're able to be on episode 22 this week. I really do want to sincerely thank you. And I'm really excited to just dive into this whole world of Doctor Who. Now, for our audience out there that's listening, this episode is geared towards the fan or the future fan of Doctor Who wants to get in the show but doesn't necessarily know everything that they need to know about the show. So it's a beginner guide. This is your how-to getting started on Doctor Who, everything Whovian, okay? So if you ever hear a friend say, I would really love to watch Doctor Who, but I just don't really know where to start, I say, hey, go over to PopXcast.com, download episode 22, and listen to Warp My TARDIS, because he's going to blow your minds. I'm telling you. Anyway, so I get off my soapbox now. So,
you give me far too much credit. We'll see what happens when we go through this. Right?
Well, it'll be beautiful. It'll be a great thing. So, So when we originally wanted to do this, we wanted to do it from the perspective and the potential of new fans, like we said, but we really didn't know where to start. You know, Doctor Who is significantly one of the longest running science fiction shows ever, headed up by the BBC. And when we mean ever, we mean ever by the BBC. It's over 50 years. And what we want to do here on the Beginner's Guide to Doctor Who is to basically acquaint all you future Whovians out there, and myself is included in that collection of people, that so one isn't completely lost in translation of the past 50 years, and story arcs and what's going on, who's who, what's a companion, what's a TARDIS, etc., etc. So, who is the Doctor, and where does he come from?
Well, the easiest part of that, the Doctor is a Time Lord, meaning that he has the presence and the ability to travel throughout space and time, all of space and time.
Okay.
And he is from the planet Gallifrey.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to try and go, well, I could do it, but it's like in the constellation Constellabros. Anyway, I got it all messed up. There's a better speech. I mean, let's face it. The 10th Doctor.
Okay.
Yes, 10th Doctor. Depending on which philosophy you fall by as far as 10th Doctor goes. David Tennant does it far better than I can ever do as far as giving off the speech of where Gallifrey is.
Okay. So Gallifrey is basically the home planet of the Time Lords?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So whenever you hear the planet Gallifrey mentioned, you kind of just know automatically that that's exactly what they're talking about. And correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I know enough of the series. Is Gallifrey gone like Krypton, or is it there? I know, right? This is such loaded questions. Is it a Kryptonian, or is it gone?
Now, up till from the first Doctor, which was played by William Hartnell, through until the original movie that was done for American television, effectively.
That's the made-for-TV movie that
was Paul McGann.
Paul McGann. Okay.
So that was 92-ish.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. We've even got the right images up.
I'm telling you.
That's awesome.
Well, that's what happens when you have a Doctor Whovian fan over here running the slides, because he knows his stuff, let me tell you.
Now, at the end of Paul McGann's movie, we still have the Doctor and all of the other Time Lords still in existence.
Okay.
Now, sometime after Paul McGann's Doctor, in the middle of the no man's land, which was about 12 years where there was no Doctor Who.
Okay.
It had gone off the air because the made-for-TV movie, unfortunately, was a complete box office flop. It went too far towards Hollywood and didn't stay to the true story. And so, anyway, sometime in between McGann and the revival in 2005, we have what's called the Time War. So the war to end all wars is inside of the multiverse universe.
Okay.
All of the bad guys all come together, and it's the battle against the Time Lords, and the Doctor has to make the ultimate sacrifice.
Okay.
And that is, he has to effectively enact a doomsday device that destroys his home planet.
Oh, wow. Okay, and that's in the 50th, isn't it?
But wait.
Okay.
Did he destroy his planet is the question.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that go along with this, and I don't want to create any spoilers.
Okay.
Which is one of the favorite phraseologies that comes out of modern Who. But maybe Gallifrey's gone, maybe not.
Okay. Well, so far I get it. I get the story that, he was faced with a decision. And I do understand that I think it was 1996 or 94 movie. It was directed by American film producers and stuff like that, and directors. And it didn't have the British proper BBC influence as most fans wanted, right?
They went too broad in creating a story that was very Hollywood.
Yeah.
Rather than creating a story that the fans of the series wanted to watch.
Okay.
I own a copy of it. I actually do have it. It's in my collection.
Okay.
Not something I will go and watch often. If I really want to see something that is bad sci-fi, I probably will pop it in before I turn on something like Krull Conqueror or
Toxic Avenger. The Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger is actually an awesome movie, so be careful with that one.
It is an awesome movie. Oh man, we're getting off on tangent,
so now modern Doctor Who, so 2005 on, which is what most of us are now aware of. It is all about this decision that was made in the Time War and everything that goes along with it, and it's the Doctor's getting past with the decision to destroy his own people and destroy. He is now the last of his kind. That's the key to modern Who. Ancient Who was all discovery and trying to protect the Earth.
Okay, so the Doctor's now he's basically like pretty much like the last I mean, I keep going back to Superman, but he's kind of like the last Kryptonian. He's we're going to get into that, the rebirthing part.
If we think about this, let's see. He flies, except he flies in a TARDIS instead of, up in the air. He can do amazing things. He has amazing gadgets, which makes him more like Batman. And, he runs around with really crazy costumes and has, sidekicks.
Okay. Well, alrighty. Mike, you want to lead into the next phase of this one?
So there's a divide in the show, and the story arcs from the original series started in 1963 through 1989. In 1996, there was a Doctor Who film. The internet short, The Night of the Doctor, is the only reference tying the movie heading up to the modern day storylines.
Yeah, so do you want to tell us a little bit? All right, so fans who don't necessarily know the Doctor Who started in 1963, all right? And like we said, the Nerd Nugget, they had a delay because of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the coverage of that. Yep. And so, but 1963 was the beginning of Doctor Who, and then there's this kind of, like you said, there was like a 12-year gap between the old series, the movie, and the new series. There's like this, there's this gap, and the only thing that they have is what BBC released was this internet clip. It's about 6-7 minutes long, and it's basically kind of tying in the old with the new. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
So this happens. It's McGann facing the beginning of the Time Wars.
Okay.
And he has to make a choice that, I'm a doctor. I save people. This is, I am a physician. And the Doctor up through this, from the first Doctor, William Hartnell, through Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, to Peter Davidson, to Colin Baker, to Sylvester McCoy, as you go through all of the actors who played the Doctor in the original series. Oh, look at that. There's the Doctors. Wow. And effectively, if we go around this chart, we're starting from the bottom left character, which is William Hartnell, all through around up to the side of Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
So that's Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee. Okay. I have to throw in this little blip of trivia. John Pertwee's son. Does anyone know who John Pertwee's son is?
Sean.
Besides his name, Sean. What's he do?
He's thinking. I see the wheels turning.
I know he's in Gotham.
Yes. And what's his character in Gotham?
Alfred.
Right. So the son of a doctor is playing Alfred from Batman.
Are you
on
serious?
Gotham.
Yes.
Now the best one was it was at the end of season 1, as there was a shot of his Halloween costume. He put on his father's Doctor Who outfit, and he looked exactly like his father.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't even put it together. I watched the first season of Gotham almost religiously, and I did not catch it until I saw this internet picture of Sean dressed as John. It was like,
wow. And you're talking about that's the third Doctor, right?
that was the third Doctor. So that
Wow.
would be 69 to 73.
Okay.
Roughly. Then Tom Baker took over in 74 through until 81. He was
And
the
most-
longest single doctor of all time.
And most people resonate with Tom Baker. I remember when my first exposure ever to Doctor Who was when the Sci-Fi Channel became a Sci-Fi Channel. I remember the launch of the Sci-Fi Channel. And on there, they would play the old reruns of Star Trek, which I think they still do to some extent. And, of course, Lost in Space, which we talked about earlier, and Doctor Who with Tom Baker. And they even played some of the older stuff, too, with William. And
The older stuff's hard to find.
And
so,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys know this history, a little nugget. But the catch is that the BBC didn't used to keep all those tapes.
They would
So
record
the BBC
over them,
would
right?
tape over top of them. So
Yeah.
the early episodes from 63 through until, sort of when John Pertwee went to color, which happened in the middle of his run, effectively a lot of that stuff's lost. It was not kept in archives. So it's copies that people have that have been, very bad film copies, or somebody that pointed a camera at a television set. That's what there is to actually capture.
Mm-hmm. And
So-
Chris Farrow over in the chat room, he's like, those are lost episodes too, and they're getting more harder and difficult to find from time to time. Some of the older ones from the older generations, and well, big shout out to Chris, by the way, over in the chat room. Chris Farrow holding it down for us. But
Anyway, let's tie it back around to what we were talking about. Was this, how do we get from McGann through William Hurt to Chris Eccleston as the modern Doctor?
and William Hurt's the War Doctor, right? Technically,
How did they word it? That was not me. That is not the Doctor. I think it was either Tennant's words or it was Smith's words, and I'm trying to remember who it was exactly that said it. There's a forgotten memory or a blocked memory that the Doctor possesses that happens during the wartime.
Okay.
So McGann, in the Night of the Doctor, McGann basically makes a choice that he's going to have to do what it takes to win the war.
Okay.
And he can't do it as himself. He can't be the Doctor and do this. He has to be someone else. So he has to remove himself from being the physician, the doctor that he's been, the protector, to being a warrior.
Okay.
And so basically there's a scene with, effectively it's Shakespeare's Three Witches. It's the Fates, if you look at it. So he meets with the three crones, and they provide him with a drink of basically a way of forcing the regeneration.
Okay.
So he forces a regeneration, not of his own requirement or out of a requirement of saving a life.
I remember that part. Yeah, he drinks
And
the
becomes-
elixir. Yeah.
Right, it becomes a very young William Hurt.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember the reflection of
John
him.
Hurt, not William Hurt. I'm
Yeah.
messing up names. John Hurt.
Yeah, I remember
Becomes a
his
very
reflection
young John
though.
Hurt.
His reflection was like on a bowl or something, and you saw it
Yeah.
for just a half second.
Yeah,
And then
so
it ended.
a reflection on a water trough. It was a water body. You see
Yeah.
the face.
Yeah. That was really
It
cool.
was well done. William Hurt then, I keep saying William Hurt, John Hurt. William Hurt, someone else. John Hurt then goes on and becomes the War Doctor and leads the battle to end all battles against the Daleks or Daleks, however you want to say it, whether you're American or European, and the Cybermen.
Okay. Before we go further, so some key words that newcomers will need to know going forward with this, okay? So, Dalek. What exactly is a Dalek?
The Daleks were creatures, they were a humanoid race.
Okay.
That basically bred out all emotion other than hatred.
Wow.
And effectively, they are now this amoeba-like organism inside of a shell. So they remove all these things of themselves that made them who they were, and now they're basically these octopus amoeba creatures. There we go.
Oh. Ooh. That's what they look like on the inside?
That's what they look like on the inside. That's what that's the evolution that they've gone through to become.
It looks like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, you could also think of it as, the ancient one. It's a little bit Cthulhu.
Oh, Cthulhu. Call of the Cthulhu. Okay, so that's what's inside running. So
that's what's inside the Dalek.
So that's the humanoid race that has void of all emotions, and they just have hate and anger as the primary function.
Right, which is why they're about the only thing they know how to say is exterminate.
Exterminate.
We will become the master race. We will run the universe because we are perfect. Exterminate. Okay. Which also then perfection seems to be a theme in Doctor Who, because if we look at that, the other major villain that we see all the time are the Cybermen, who are cybernetic creatures trying to remove and become the perfect, remove imperfection and become the perfect entities in the universe.
All right. So that's what a Dalek is, okay? And the next one we have is, some people may have heard the term TARDIS, but they don't exactly know what the TARDIS is. The TARDIS and KJ.
TARDIS. TARDIS. I call her sexy.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Okay, so the TARDIS is a time and relative dimension in space. That's what it stands for. Okay. TARDIS. The TARDIS effectively is a time machine.
Okay.
It's a mechanism that the Doctor uses to move through time and space. Now, the catch here is that the time machine that we are used to, the TARDIS that we see in Doctor Who, effectively she's broken.
Okay.
So one of the things that the TARDIS has is what's called a chameleon circuit. It allows it to switch itself in so that it blends into its natural environment, and that way nobody sees it as something standing out and being odd and different. However, this one got stuck as being a 1950s police box.
That's the story behind the TARDIS. It's a chameleon circuit. Okay. Now, before I go into the next word, which we've talked about before, but so correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the TARDIS once upon a time a flying restaurant? Or a flying car or something? Wasn't it?
The TARDIS has been many, many, many things.
Okay.
A flying restaurant, a large swimming pool, one of the largest libraries in the universe.
So it still has the ability to adapt to its surroundings and not just stuck as a TARDIS.
There's an episode that's coming up that you haven't seen yet. It will be season 2, and then it will repeat again in season 6.
Okay.
Where they talk about the ability of the TARDIS to change its interior appearance. And that all of the control rooms from all the doctors are stored inside the TARDIS. So the TARDIS has infinite rooms, and it can just, I set that aside. We're not using that one anymore. I decommissioned that room. So here's a whole new control room, but the other one's still there.
So all the rooms from the previous doctors are there inside the main TARDIS itself.
Exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's why it's bigger on the inside.
Oh, nice. All right. I get it. I know. All right. So TARDIS, you guys got it. You want to paint your door to look like a TARDIS. Come on. You want to. Come on. Come on. Get your geek on.
A very good friend of mine actually did that to the inside of his office. So the outside of his office door is a TARDIS. The inside of his office door is painted red with the Flash logo on it.
Nice. I actually plan to do something like that similar to my room. Don't tell the wife. Anyway, so Gallifrey, we talked about Gallifrey earlier, and so I think you pretty much nailed that one. That is the home planet of the Time Lords, and that's where they're all from, and you gave us a really good history about that. So tell us, and there's a really beautiful picture of Gallifrey.
Oh, there's the city.
Yeah, it's the city Gallifrey right there. That's what I remember. And sonic screwdriver, what exactly is this tool, and what can it be used for? He's reaching for something.
The sonic screwdriver.
Okay, now what doctor is this screwdriver from?
This one happens to be, this is 11, so this is Matt Smith.
Matt Smith, okay.
Now, this is the early Matt Smith one, because this is the one that has lights.
Okay.
But no sound. There's one that was done for the 50th anniversary, which I actually have. It's boxed. It's sitting on a shelf that actually has sound as well.
Ooh, okay.
So the sonic screwdriver started off, as you can see in the image that we've provided here. It's a nice little wand with a light on the end of it. And then it progresses through to having different iterations and different features as the Doctors progress.
Okay.
The sonic screwdriver effectively is the Doctor's wonder tool. So
Okay.
think of it as Batman's utility belt.
Oh.
I need to open a door. As long as it has a metal lock, the Doctor can use the sonic screwdriver on it. Sonic screwdriver does not work on wood. The sonic has been used to measure air temperature, to check the atmosphere on a planet. It's been used to...
so it's a smart gadget for the Doctor, the gadget among all gadgets.
I mean, think of it like a Star Trek tricorder.
Okay.
It'll read organic material. It'll tell you if someone's diseased. It'll tell you what their heart is beating slowly because they're having a heart attack. All those things it does for the Doctor. It's a complete multi-purpose tool.
Okay. So the sonic screwdriver, each Doctor has their own version of the sonic screwdriver? Okay.
Yes, but it's the same screwdriver that regenerates itself. So that's one of the things we see in the 50th anniversary is that there's over 800 years of difference between the War Doctor to the modern Doctor. And, well, gee, if we want to escape out of this prison cell we've been put into, and we created a program 800 years ago, click, I just did it now. And then, oh, look, the program's still running, says David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. And then Matt Smith goes, oh, the program's done, ding. And they open the door.
And there it is. Okay. Well, that explains what the sonic screwdriver is. And Time Lord, you've already discussed that one. We know exactly.
I was going to say, the most modern sonic screwdriver, and I know Mike actually had that earlier. We were looking at that.
Yeah,
he had the little prop there beside him.
There it is.
This is the one that Mr. Capaldi is using currently on the show. I still have not quite got my head wrapped around a mini lightsaber. However, that's not to say that it's not still there. I mean, we've gone from a blue dot on the top to a green dot between Eccleston and Tennant to Matt Smith. There's no reason why we can't go to a lightsaber for Peter Capaldi. He is a bit more of a rock star, so it's a little more ravish.
Yeah, the lightsaber sonic screwdriver, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right. So a couple of the big bads here. What exactly are Cybermen?
So Cybermen, which I've already mentioned a little bit earlier. So the Cybermen are a race of beings that effectively aimed towards perfecting themselves and becoming the perfect beings. So they basically were humanoid, and they started augmenting themselves with mechanical devices to the point that the mechanical took over. So there is the essence of a living human being inside of a Cyberman, but it is so buried in the hive mind. Oh, gee, sounds like a predecessor to the Borg. That effectively it's one mind, one body, and extensions of a hive. They effectively just aim for perfection. So it
does sound like the Borg from Star Trek a little bit. It kind of, yeah.
You might say that that's where it came from.
Okay, we'll just leave that there then. Another one, and we had talked about this one prior to the actual show going live, was one of my favorites and probably one of the creepiest ones I've seen, is the Weeping Angels. Now, this one is just...
Oh, yes. They are probably one of the scariest monsters that they have brought onto the show. So the Weeping Angels effectively are spirit beings or aliens that are captured in it's a kind of a weird alternate universe thing going on. So they're slightly out of phase with our universe.
Yeah.
And they can only move when they're not seen.
So you can almost say like they're on a different frequency almost or something.
Right. So
Yeah.
if you stare at them, if you continue to stare at them and don't blink, they can't move. However, when you blink, they then move and they come closer and closer, and then they basically draw you in. So you can see vampire-like characteristics here in this Weeping Angel. Long, pointy talon-like fingers. Now, the first time that we really see them is a Tennant episode. So this is season.
Oh my gosh! Look
5.
at that. So freaky.
Now this was from the Byzantine. So this was Matt Smith. This is a more modern version with the Weeping Angels. It was still freaky when you're in the forest and they start moving. When they realized that the statues had no heads for a reason, and that's because they had broken the heads off of the Weeping Angels.
Wow, that is so creepy. That gives me chills just thinking about it, like an actual thing that every time you blink, they get just a step closer and a step closer. And
the Byzantium episode, which is from season 1 with Matt Smith. So this would be season 7. 7, 8, 9, no, 6, 7. 6, yes. Yeah. As I wrap my head back around which
this
seasons
is
it
why
was.
we have you on here, because you're like pretty much a walking encyclopedia for all things Doctor Who.
So season 6, the crash of the Byzantine is where Amy actually gets a small amount of angel dust in her eye.
Okay.
And it will actually consume her, and she will become a Weeping Angel.
Well, Mike, do you want to ask the next one there? Is about the Doctor's certain process that he goes through every 2 seasons?
Yeah. If you can give an explanation of the Doctor's regeneration.
So, regeneration. The regeneration process, of which it can happen a total of 12 times. So the Doctor can regenerate up to 12 times and become a new person. So there were 2 reasons for this as far as the show went. The first one was that we couldn't have the Doctor just die.
Okay.
But how could you just basically have him magically come back to life? They didn't want to have the typical he's a mortal superhero.
Okay.
They didn't want to essentially create Highlander about 30 years too early.
Okay. Who wants to live forever, right?
Precisely. So the other part of it was contractual. So the reality is that most of the actors who play Doctor are classically trained Shakespearean and very talented, very well-placed BBC actors. And they tended not to want to be in a series for too long.
Okay.
So what they would do is to allow themselves to play the role and then to basically step out and do other roles, they would contract out and there would be a regeneration to change one Doctor to the next. Usually it involved a traumatic death scene.
Gotcha. Okay, that explains pretty much the transitions that you see, and I remember seeing the 50th anniversary episode too with those scenes, and the Christmas special when Matt Smith and his regeneration process. So I remember those very vividly. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, that would be that's the Tennant to Matt Smith. It was probably the most destructive we'd seen. But it was also because you have to understand there were 2 other things that happened at this time. So Tennant's change to Smith was a huge change in the process of what was going on in Doctor Who. It was also the end of Russell T Davies as being the lead runner for the show and passing it off to Stephen Moffat. So there was a pass off at that time. It was a whole production change. That's where this TARDIS dies. I mean, we lose this very organic looking, the brown, the golds, the bronze of this TARDIS, and we gain the more modern, the current TARDIS we have for Capaldi, which looks more like a carousel.
Yeah,
it's the blues and the aquas.
Yeah, this TARDIS right here kind of reminded me of like a little bit of a steampunk kind of a feel, almost to some extent.
it was very much what they were aiming for
Yeah.
when they created this. It was also post-war,
Yeah.
so it was very metal-like, very
Industrial.
much like it was tank or interior of a ship. It was meant to be more armed like or armored.
All right. So I think that pretty much answers some of the big questions. Now, over in the chat room, we got Chris and we got Lindsay hanging out as well. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw out. If you're listening right now, it's popx.live. We have just a few more minutes left. But as a newcomer, would you advise starting with 2005 as a reference as season 1? You think that's a good starting point for fans who are new to the series?
If someone's coming in and wants to catch up on complete series, right, as they stand right now, the easiest way to do that is to start from 2005.
Okay.
Whether you're on iTunes, whether it's through Amazon Prime, which is become the primary way of getting it. Netflix cycles it in and out. Right now, it's out of Netflix US and very few series. I think we've only got 3 series right now, Netflix Canada.
Okay.
So you can catch up bits and pieces, but iTunes and Amazon Prime are your 2 best bets.
Yeah, that's where I'm watching it right now, is on Amazon Prime.
And the catch there is that the more modern ones are up to date. You're going to find more information on the internet about the creatures, about the people, about the characters, and definitely about the companions as you're going through with the more modern series. The other thing is that it's well produced, very likable, and it's in the 1 hour format, whereas the previous series had these long segments because it was only 30 minutes per episode.
Okay.
It was a 30-minute BBC show. It was actually used as a filler between other shows, and the catch was that a story arc could take 8 to 10 weeks because of the half-hour episodes, whereas most of the modern Doctor Who, each episode effectively is on its own, but usually in a 3 to 5 show arc. There are mini arcs inside of that, so you get a good story continuity if you are looking at the more modern ones.
Gotcha. And so Chris over in the chat room says that he's just waiting for Doctor Who to become the next Doctor to be Haley Atwell from Marvel's Agent Carter. Of course, he's a huge Marvel comic book.
I'm going to say there have been a lot of rumors. Now, Peter Capaldi has confirmed that he is not looking to stay much beyond season. Season 10 has started taping. Available to us until 2017. Damn you. Now, at the same time, this is also Moffat's last season of writing. So even Stephen Moffat is leaving the series at the end of this.
So a whole new team's coming
now, well, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a whole new team. It's a very experienced team. So, and I'm trying to remember who it is that's actually coming in from Sherlock, who's going to take over production on, darn it, I can't remember the name. I remember reading the article about a year ago now.
Yeah, I think we even covered the article
of who's
a few episodes ago.
I believe it was Chris Chibnall.
So we've got
Chris Chibnall.
Thank you. Yes,
Chris. Yeah.
Yes. So Chris is coming in, and Moffat's stepping off to concentrate on other projects, which is a good thing. It's about time. I have found the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who, the writing has been lacking. The stories are good, the acting is fantastic, but the stories just seem to be rehash of old episodes brought back again with a new face.
Oh, that makes.
But that's maybe just me as a I'm a huge Who fan.
So, Mike, do you want to ask the last question about the order and rank?
Yes. In what order would you rank the Doctors based on the performance by the actor?
Wow.
Ooh. Now, we're not going to make this really easy for you now.
Based on performance by the actor, so Tom Baker is number 1. Capaldi's number 2. Tennant is number 3. I'm split at that point between whether or not I go with Patrick Troughton or John Pertwee is the next in line there. The Hartnell only did it for 1 season, similar to Chris Eccleston, and that's why I kind of am pulling them off. I actually like to exclude them from the list, only because I think they stand on their own for the uniqueness of the way that they worked. I think the weakest unfortunately, is Colin Baker. I think he had the worst scripts. I think he had the worst storylines. Davidson and Peter Davidson and Sylvester McCoy are about the same point. It's you're kind of down there in the list, but it's two are going to be, effectively it's Capaldi and Tom Baker, which Scarf and Mr. Red Lining in his coat.
That's pretty much your top five right there, right on the bat. Is definitely Tom Baker's number one, and Peter Capaldi number two, as your leads. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool insight. Well, as we kind of wrap up the podcast, KJ, how can people get in touch with you in case they have any questions or any kind of comments about anything that they hear here? How can they reach out to you?
You guys can get a hold of us. We're on Twitter at Geek Culture Cast, which is the common network point, or you can get a hold of me directly at Warp My TARDIS on Twitter.
Okay.
Also, Warp My TARDIS on Gmail.
Oh, okay.
And find us on iTunes, and we do all the different audio formats too.
That is so cool. Well, we at PopX want to thank you so much for taking the time and just hanging out with us. And
it was a blast, guys.
Yeah, pretty much like helping us, because we're I know Mike over here, he's kind of the seasoned nerd, so he knows pretty much about his Doctor Who, but I'm getting into it slowly, and it really helps having someone. And Mike, me and Mike's had many discussions about Doctor Who origins and stuff like that, but to hear your take on it and things that you're passionate about and the actors that you're passionate about and stuff really brings a lot of light to the conversation. So we really want to thank you for your time, and I guess we could say happy belated Canada Day. Can we do that? Can we do that technically?
Yeah, sure we can, because it's only the 3rd.
Yeah, it's only.
It's not officially the 4th, and it's no longer the 1st. It's in the middle.
It's in the middle. And I want to say this too before I let you go, KJ, is that Happy Doctor Who Day coming up on July the 9th. Did you know about that? Yes. It's kind of funny that we did this show right before Doctor Who Day. Mm-hmm. So
it was good timing.
We were talking about that weird timing. You were sending me a message as I was sending you a message today on Twitter, and it was just downright freaky.
It was a fixed point in time, so the Doctor wouldn't be able to change it ever again.
I do believe the Doctor was definitely in the works on that one. I'd have to say.
I don't know. I would say so.
I would say so. Well, you have a wonderful night, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. And
thanks for having me. It was awesome, guys.
All right,
Thank you for your wealth of information.
Yes, you are freaking boom sauce, dude. And catch him out. It's Warp My TARDIS, and he's also hangs out on Legends of the Panel as well. And he's just all over the place. So check him out and take care, my friend. You rock.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks very much,
man. So that is awesome. Wow, that literally, I looked down at the clock and it was like. I'm like 58 minutes later. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's about 50 years of history in an hour.
I was really worried. I was like, man, this is going to be a 2-hour podcast, because you're doing literally 50 plus years of Doctor Who in 1 hour. Can we do this? We just did it.
It's like a crash course.
We did a crash course. Well, technically, if you minus the news, it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But who's counting? Yeah. So, all right, guys, if you are doing something really awesome this week and you want to let us know about it, you're seeing a really cool movie, or you're just reading a good comic book, or you're diving into Rebirth or something really fresh at Marvel Comics, we want to know about it. Head over to our PopX hotline right now. It's 850-417-PopX. And if you are just somewhat slightly don't really want to type that in, like what is P, what is O, it's 850-417-7679. And so, Mike, tell them about this awesome network that we're a part of here. It's really, really, really freaking cool.
I just joined the Gonna Geek network. So like I said before, it was a great to connect with these guys, and we look forward to having a good relationship with them.
Yeah, and I think that it's definitely a reunion, and I don't want to say reunion, a uniting of geeks and sheer nerdydom, and just pretty much awesome sauce. So I really do want to thank all of our friends over at GonnaGeek.com. We love you. Thank you. So follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Patreon, Twitter, Pinterest, all at PopXcast, and that's PopXcast. And if you want to throw us a line on the email line, you can do that as well, popxcast@gmail.com. We would be delighted, and we would love to hear from all of our amazing listeners. Also, for future and past shows, you can also log on to our official website, popxcast.com. And Mike, now this is kind of like weird. This is kind of your first time on camera, but you've been here 21 episodes. How does that work?
I just kind of, hide in the shadows a little bit and do my thing.
So are you the shadow?
I am.
The shadow knows. Great Scott, Marty. 1.20. Anyway, sorry. I'm going off on a tangent here. So how can they connect with you? What's your Twitter handle, man? How can the people if they want to follow you or say, hey, man, what's up, Mike?
I'm on Twitter at Dynamics. It's DYNAMIX12. That's on Twitter. And I'm also Mike Ippolito on Facebook.
Ooh, nice. You are awesome. And, of course, Mike has been a huge part and kind of one of the backbone members of Team PopX, along with Lindsay. We do want to give her a quick shout-out. She's hanging out with us over there in the PopX chat room. And Lindsay couldn't be here this week. She was spending some quality family time. But you know what? We'll let it slide. Lindsay rocks. She got our nerd nuggets with us this week, and that's pretty awesome. So, and you know what Chris Farrell is saying to this for you, Mike? He said, Mike, you killed it tonight. Well done.
I appreciate it.
Ah, yes. You're such a beautiful man beast. And I just said that live on air. And I am Joe Burke at RockCav on the interwebs. We want to thank all of our team members, Team PopX, Lindsay Badger, Mike Ippolito. Do you have?
I do.
You Is that the Ministry of Jiggly Legs? Wiggly
It
Legs?
looks that way.
God.
Can't leave without my signature.
Dude, I'm telling you, you're on camera and you're still throwing out your crazy animations. Oh, geez. That's crazy. All right, guys. This has been truly an awesome podcast. Again, we want to thank Warp My TARDIS. Coming up next week, episode 23. It's going to be really cool. We are going to be diving into the world of Preacher. I just said that. We are diving into Preacher.
Excellent show.
We're going to unpack that, and we are also going to be talking about some of our top games that we're excited about from the E3 conference that just happened a couple of weeks ago. So we got E3 and Preacher all in the same episode. Get your geek on. It's a great time to be a nerd. And we want to give a shout out to our friends over at the Gonna Geek Network. You guys are awesome. And from all of us here at PopX, you know what? Get your geek on. Stay nerdy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Later. Say bye, Mike.
See ya. Thanks.
You say bye, Mike.
Bye.
Say like bye, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Okay, good boy.
From everyone here at PopXcast, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe for more great content. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Lab, and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.